Normally I do it in the morning in terms of the drumming session, so I'm on morning time. For me, the evening becomes my morning, actually, which is my reality. And that's kind of part of my story. Interesting is we all have a specific story, right? And this week, as we journey for Shamanic Journey number 48, we'll be journeying to rewriting our story, your story. And everyone has one. If we look at our lives as a story and the archetypes that we play in our story, then we can first validate or shine a light on who we are in our story and then try to shift it if we choose to. If not, then we just continue on what we're doing. That's free will. So as the author of our story, right, we can live or edit it, right? But not all our stories are ours. Sometimes we have stories that are from our ancestors that are passed down. We have stories that come from our parents. Those are also obviously passed down from their ancestors. And a lot of the themes that play into our lives that we sometimes come into contact with or patterns are, am I lovable? Am I not lovable, right? Is it better for me to do this alone in the lifetime? Or is it better for me to do it with someone else, right? Have a relationship or not? In other words, can I accept abundance in my life? Am I worthy of being successful? Am I frightened of being successful? Am I creative enough? And a lot of times we put limitations on the story so that we actually feel that we are who we are and that we have no potential to shift or change. But remember, as I just mentioned, parents, ancestors indoctrinate us into a certain mindset, right? In other words, when we have our own needs, are we taking care of the needs of others? Is loyalty an issue, right? Is it more important to be part of a group and rather than have that inner knowing and do what's right for you as an individual and not look at it as being selfish? So loyalty bonds, right, keep us in a certain place, right? They keep us in the place of being stuck. And we have a sense of fear of abandonment or rejection. And through that fear of abandonment or rejection, we stay in a place that's quiet and calm so that we don't rock the boat. And some of the stories that we as individuals go through don't have to do with just family or ancestors, but our own internal story that are not tied to those individuals or things that came before us, such as the experiences that we have in this life, which is loss, abuse, betrayal, abandonment, neglect, and sometimes like the engulfment, the fear or the ability for one to get swallowed up in a situation like in drama and then lose ourselves in the process. So these kinds of stories and other stories as well kind of play out in our lives. But if we keep repeating, right, and we lose our individuality, then we sometimes have this fear of then rewriting it because we feel we have to expose too much of ourselves and do too much work. But in the work is where we find our individuality. In the work is where we have the capacity to change and shift ourselves into a new person, into a new story itself. So we can either be the victim of circumstances in our story, or we can be the heroine in our story. We can be other characters as well. But a lot of times, because of our own limitations, our fears for our inner world, fears of what people in our family are going to think, we stay stuck in a certain place where it's safer rather than us testing the grounds and changing the story. So, we go through life in this role, right? But it's ours to live the way we choose to do it. Or, like I mentioned earlier, we can rewrite it. It's necessary for us to heal the parts of ourselves, right? By gaining more insight and bringing awareness. That's the main thing. And if we look at it from a perspective from shamanism, and what I'm speaking about today, we can understand that the spirit world is often aware of what is truly hindering us because it's giving us the opportunity, like it's willing to show us what is the root cause of the things that are keeping us stuck. Just like it's the unconscious mind that gets blocked by the ego, right? Our state of fear, our fear of hearing the inner voice, and that creates a sense of panic. And rather than, again, rewriting or shifting, we stay in a certain place where it's safe. So what aspect of your story do you want to edit or change or not change? If you could look at your life in the state you're in right now, and you have the capacity to shift into a different person or a different character, what character would you like to see yourself as? And remember, our thoughts create our reality. Our words create our reality. Our behavior creates our reality. So it's a combination of first removing the programs that exist in our lives and seeing where they come from, what's ours, what's not ours, removing it, clearing the way, and then rewriting a new slate of who you see yourself to be. And that's a very important component for us. So what I'd like to do today is I'd like for us to journey, right, to rewriting your story. What aspect of your story would you like to change? From my perspective, writing a book or a person editing, we can always change characters. We can move things around. It doesn't have to be exactly the way we think them to be. We can rewrite our story and write the chapters of our own life, right? We can edit them. We can shift them. Okay? We have that capacity. We have that inner strength to do that. Okay, so let's journey today to rewriting your story and seeing what information you get from your spirit animal. And by the way, in the description below of the down below the video, I put down a link to the spirit animals. So if you're interested in understanding a little bit more about what spirit animal is, what it signifies, and what energy it carries, you can go down below and look at it, and it'll give you a whole list of different spirit animals. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to take a deep breath in and exhale. I'd like you to take a deep breath in and exhale. I'd like you to focus in on going on your journey and finding your spirit animal and asking the question of what needs to be edited or shifted in your story. Okay, let's take a deep breath in one more time, and we'll go on our guided journey. Take a deep breath in as you walk on this trail. You're on a long, long path with oak trees on the left and right of you. And as you walk this trail, you take a deep breath in and you smell the freshness of the spring air. You hear your footsteps as you walk on the path. And as you walk, there are two paths. One to the left, or one to the right. You choose a path. Whether you take the path to the left or to the right. The journey will be the same. As you continue on your trail, you notice at the end of the forest where you walk is a valley. And the valley is a grassy, green pasture with a narrow path for you to walk on. And as you continue on that path, in the distance is a large boulder. With an opening at the very bottom. led into the cave. The cave twists and turns until you see light at the bottom on the floor. And you follow that light out to the other side. When you come out to the other side, you're in a different terrain. What does the landscape look like? Where are you? You look to the right, and behind you, as you turn around, is a spirit animal. What animal do you see? When you speak to the spirit animal, you ask it, what part of my story do I need to edit or rewrite? You listen for the answers. Sit with the spirit animal and allow the information to flow. breath in. And you thank the spirit animal for the information that it passed on to you. You look one more time at the environment you're in. And you head back into the cave. In the darkness, you follow the path that leads to the light, to the other side. And as you see the light, you find yourself exiting the cave, back in the valley, on the path, with the beautiful grass landscape to the left and right. And you continue on that path as it leads back to the forest. And you continue on the path. Turn right, or you turn left, depending upon which direction you took, which path. And you find yourself on your original path, between the two oak trees, on the left and right. Breathe deeply as you walk. As you continue on the path, on the left is a large pine tree, tall. You put your hands around it. Feel the energy of your body dissipate and absorb by the tree. It exchanges its energy with you and renews your spirit. You thank the tree and release your hands. And you continue out of the forest on your path. Okay, take a deep breath in and exhale. Take a deep breath in and exhale. Take one more deep breath in and exhale. Move your fingers, move your toes, shrug your shoulders a bit, move your neck, and when you're ready, come back into the room. Okay, so hopefully you received some information. Our journey today, Shamanic Journey number 48, is a journey to rewrite our story. A lot of us are placed in situations in our lives where we hear a story, we're treated in a certain way that keeps us stuck. And sometimes we become victims of our situation. And we have the capacity and we have the inner strength to first off recognize what happens and what the situation really is from your perspective. And then to move away and to find within yourself the power within you to change and shift. And it begins with us, first of all, thinking about things in a more positive way, right? The inner voice has to be positive. The inner voice is a extension of what will take place in our outer world. So when we resonate at a higher frequency and we speak and think words of a higher level, then we have the capacity, right? We have the capacity to then be able to to shift forward and to rewrite our story. We don't really want to be a victim, although we can. We have the strength, but it also takes the power within us to then want to shift and move away and know that if we're not successful, right, then we might have failed, then we don't take that step or that leap. So keep in mind that everybody is on their own path, and each person's story is different, each archetype is different, but we have that capacity within us to do it at any time. We can edit the things that we need to. So I hope you had a good journey. I want to thank you for joining me today, and if you enjoyed the journey today, please give the video a like, and please subscribe, and I'll see you next week.